Tom Nobis is going to come give us some quick announcements, and while he's coming up, I do want to mention we really need to be praying for Scott and Jeanette Henry's daughter, because they just got word they're having to take her to the hospital in an ambulance, so they're on their way. So we'll be praying for her. And now, Tom, if you'll make your announcements.
Okay, we've got elections coming up, and for those that might be interested, I've got a list of vacant spots for election day for judges. If you want to try to become an election judge, see me. I'll be out there. Also, I have a list of all of the precinct chairs that they have on their list that have filed to be on the ballot. If you're a precinct chair, you might come by and look and see if your name is in the list. Otherwise, you need to talk to Margaret Matthews down at HCRP to get your name in place or fill out the proper application. We've got, you can refile for precinct chair up until through this Saturday. Also on the 5th of March is when the precinct conventions are going to occur. It was decided last night at the CEC meeting as to their locations. There are going to be locations by House District, and I also have the list if you're interested. And that's my writ. There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, and be sure and see Tom and get signed up if you'd like to work. Could someone ask Karen to bring me the sign-in sheets? But in the meantime, we do have a lot of candidates who are not really on our speaker list for state candidates or judicial that have opponents tonight. So there are individual candidates who are here who would like to stand one at a time and give us your 1-minute speech. So if you want to just start standing up, that's fine, and I'll call on you. But I do need Karen to bring me the list. Okay, we don't have any candidates here that want to give a 1-minute speech? All right, here we go. And y'all can come up here and speak if you want to and line up and give a 1-minute speech. And Kathy is your time person.
Hi there.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I think it's on.
Sir, when you're done, like down to 10 seconds, I will.
Okay, good. All right, well, I'm so pleased to be here. My name is Justice Evan Young. I'm on the Supreme Court of Texas, and I'm hoping to earn your support to stay there. I was a law clerk to Justice Antonin Scalia on the U.S. Supreme Court, and that year taught me what judicial integrity means, and it taught me what the role of a judge really is. Now, everyone who runs for judge will tell you the same thing. I won't legislate from the bench, I won't use my personal preferences, and I will promise to apply the law as written. Have you ever heard anyone say, no, I'm going to legislate from the bench? The question is, how do you know, even yourself, how do you know you're not allowing your personal preferences to invade your decision making? And how can the people know? Justice Scalia knew how to do it, and he did it, and I absorbed that lesson from him. It's methodology that's rigorous, where you are determining only what the words on paper meant, the Constitution or a statute or the contract or the deed or the will, and you're giving clear principles. Judges are here to serve the people. They're to facilitate self-government so that the legislature, who is representative of all of you, can change the law, and never for a judge to do it. I'd appreciate your support. Evan Young, justiceevanyoung.com. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you tonight.
All right. Hi again, everybody. My name is Brad Hart. I was the judge of the 230th Criminal District Court until the 2018 election, when the Republicans lost all the county-wide seats, especially the majority of the criminal courts in Harris County. And I'm running to take that seat back because I've watched what a travesty it has become down there, and the danger that has been created in our county because of the liberal progressive policies of these politicians, not judges, but politicians down there. People used to ask me when I was on the bench, what's the difference? I mean, really, how do judges affect our lives? And I think you're seeing that right now, how judges, our local judges, the Harris County judges, actually do affect your lives, because there is a clear difference. When I was on the bench 2017, I believe, poll of Harris County citizens showed that crime was not an issue and people felt safe. Just a few weeks ago, there was a poll of Harris County citizens that said 88% now feel unsafe in our homes. That is a travesty. There is a difference. And now we need to make a difference. One of the last things I did on the bench in the 230th was sentence a child molester to prison. One of the first things my replacement did was release repeatedly a violent offender back on the streets until Brian Patrick, thank goodness, at the U.S. Attorney's Office decided he was going to take it federal. There is a difference. We need to make a difference. Brad Hart, 230th Criminal District Court.
Folks, I'm Maritza Antu. I'm on the second to last page. I'm currently the judge of the 482nd Criminal District Court. No, I'm not a confused Democrat at the wrong place. I was appointed by Governor Abbott last year, and I'm going to echo everything that Brad Hart told all of you. I see every day when I come into that building. It is not hard to follow the law. It is not hard to set aside your political agenda when you take the bench. When I put on my robe, I think about the Constitution. I think about law and order, and I think about law enforcement in our community who every day protect all of us. Now, what's changed since 2018? Why has our county become a county of lawlessness and high crime? Let me tell you what happened. The Democrats took over. That's what happened. And so I'm here to tell you that if the DA's office does her job, it is not hard to follow the law and hold repeat and dangerous criminals without bond. I do it every day. And I don't come to my bench with a political agenda. I put on my robe, I follow the law. I'm married to a federal prosecutor. My sister is an assistant district attorney. We are a family who believes in law enforcement and the rule of law. I need you to help all of us take back the courthouse in 2022. I'm Maritza Antu, like A-N-T-U, for the 482 Criminal District Court. Thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Ray Van Norman. I'm running for Family Court Judge in District 311, so that's all of Harris County, and I would appreciate your vote. Hi. I'm sorry, I see somebody I know. I know. I'm sorry, let me get back on point. I'm running 3 points I want to make. Number one, I want to bring Judeo-Christian values back to Harris County family courts. I want to serve the families of Harris County, and I want to help turn Harris County red. And whether I win the primary or not, I will be block walking for the Republican candidates in November. So thank you very much.
Hi, excuse me. Hi, my name is Todd Frankfurt, and I'm running for the 308th Family District Court. You know, I'm going to tell you, I've got a minute, so I'm going to be real quick. I am a native Houstonian. My parents are native Houstonians. My father is a first-generation graduate of high school and law school and college. He taught me to work. That's what I will do for you. It is important that we have judges who show up every day. It is important that we have judges who actually do their jobs. Right now, the Democrats seem to have lost sight of that. We need to correct that right now. Now is the time. I am tired. I'm tired. I've been up since 5. I've got bulldogs. I've got kids. I've got a life. I'm tired. But you know what else I'm tired of? I'm tired of judges not following the law. I'm tired of judges not applying the law. I'm tired of judges not listening to the evidence and then ruling based on that evidence. That's how it's supposed to be. Are y'all tired too? All right. On March 1st, you got to vote for me. Todd Frankfurt for the 308th Family District Court. I need your help.
Hi, my name is Daniel Jason. I'm running for Precinct 2 County Commissioner. And I have to admit, I was very naive when I came into this. I thought it would just be car break-ins, car thefts, No, Michael Berry pointed out these DAs are releasing known murderers, and about 200 people are dead now because they've done this. I found out my top priority is I need your safety in Precinct 2. That means I got to take the DA on. That's not part of my job description, but I got to do it. I had a constable today, and he came to me and he says, I see you're running for this. What are you going to do for us? Because they're shooting us. I said, look, I'll take the DA on. I'll fight as hard as I can. Same way with the judges. Your safety is my priority. Have the other constables vote for me. I'm sorry you guys are getting shot. He said, yeah. We're at a war here right now, people. And if you don't believe that, I don't know what universe you're from. But literally, I will fight as hard as I can. I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I never lost any troops when I was in combat. When I was in charge, I never lost any troops. Bottom line, please, I'm asking for your vote. Thank you.
Your name again?
Oh, my name is Daniel N. Jason, Jason. And I'll tell you how to remember it. Just like in the lion's den, my namesake went in there and he prayed. I said, Lord, I think I can take out maybe 2, maybe 3 lions. And the angel will be saying, Lord, I need backup down here. Daniel's got him in the corner, and the lions are praying. Please, God, I won't kill him. I'll just maim him. Please, God.
Good evening. My name is Darrell Nelms, and I'm here to represent Tom Slocum. He's my cousin. He's running for the Railroad Commission. He's a graduate of Texas A&M. In fact, that's where he is tonight. He's in College Station. That's why he, at another forum, that's why he couldn't be here tonight. But he's a Houstonian. He lives right here in Houston, Northwest Houston. He's got 17 years of experience in oil and gas. He's a consultant. And in college, he interned for Senator Hutchinson. And he's worked on Dan Crenshaw's and Ted Cruz campaign. So I would just like you to consider voting for him. I've heard from several people here tonight that they saw him speak at the Greater Pachyderm luncheon, and they thought highly of him. And I said, really? But you know, Prophet's never really respected in his hometown, so being a family member, it's nice to get that positive feedback from others. But a couple issues he's passionate about is, one, these windmills. Right now, they can post a bond for removing that windmill at the end of its life with the county. Some of the counties are negotiating very low or no bonds in order to, save a buck. But the counties kind of get competitive and maybe try to outbid another county. Tom would like to see and will push for the state to collect those bonds. And that way, when a wind farm goes bankrupt, the taxpayer, you and I, will not be stuck with the bill. Kind of like the orphan well issue that he's also passionate about. Where way back when we drilled wells and we didn't have a bond to delete it or to plug it, P&A it. We don't want the same thing to happen in the windmill area. Thank you so much. That's Tom Slocum running for the Railroad Commission.
Hi, everybody. I am not running, but I'm here representing Brett Guillory. He is running for Congress, CD 38. I met him a week ago, and just a quick background, I'm one of the moms that has been fighting against our Klein ISD school boards against all of the critical race theory, all of that mess. Brett is the first one that I have heard speak up about it, talk about it in the open, and acknowledge that he is a teacher, acknowledge that not only does it exist, but he has also received training in it. He doesn't follow it, by the way, but he is a teacher, so he knows full well. He's on our side. He's one of us, the people who are fighting. So that's what sold me on Brett. He's everything we want. I have a couple of his flyers at the table, and we will be holding a meet and greet for him in the next week or so. So we'll be sure to get out the invite for that. It's Brett Guillory running for Congress, CD 38.
My name is Mary Ann Jackson, and I am here to represent Alexandra Mealer. Alexandra is running for Harris County Judge, and she also caught our attention. Priscilla and I have done some meet and greets for her, and we just encourage you to go to our website, alexandramealer.com. She's a fighter, she's a veteran, she's a mother, she's a wife. She's just really outstanding, very smart. She focused on Harris County and the Commissioner's Court. While a lot of us were out here focused on the school boards, she was really focused on the Harris County, the spending, the crime, what was going on, and her family encouraged her to run for office. She's 37 years old, but she is a fighter, and we're really glad to support her. So any precinct chairs in the room, somehow our house out here I live in Longwood and Cypress. I'm delivering signs all through Champions everywhere. So if you need a sign for Alexandra Mealer, we'll be glad to fix you up tonight or any night you need it. And we have plenty of push cards. So I just encourage you to check into Alexandra. Thank you.
Howdy, y'all. Y'all can do better than that. Howdy. A lot of familiar faces in here. My name is Claver. You guys know me. I've been around for quite a while, and I'm Daniel Miller's campaign manager. He is running for Texas Lieutenant Governor. For 25 years, Daniel Miller has been working for the economic, cultural, and political independence of Texas. He is the founder of the Texit movement. I'm going to make this quite clear. Daniel Miller has the strongest border security plan of anybody running for office in the 2022 cycle. We are going to militarize the Texas State Guard, put them on the border, and not allow not one illegal toenail to touch sovereign Texas soil. Our state guardsmen will have rules of engagement that says if the cartel shoot at them, they shall return fire with the option to pursue south of the river to eliminate that threat to their lives and those Texans who live on the border. Pull DPS back into the interior. Don't take that. You're taking away from my time. Don't do that. Pull DPS back into the interior to do the work that ICE is not being allowed to do, and we've got to get rid of the magnets. No birth certificates, driver's license, admissions into our schools, social services paid for by Texas taxpayers to illegals. Once and for all, secure the border. Dan Patrick has been promising to do it since 2015, and he has failed. If your property taxes went up this year, you have no business voting for Dan Patrick, because the Texas GOP platform doesn't call for property tax relief, doesn't call for property tax reform. It says abolish the property tax so that you will no longer be a tenant of the government and that we shall have private property in the state of Texas. That's what it calls for. If your taxes went up, you have no business voting for Dan Patrick because he has failed. Vote for Daniel Miller. He promises to abolish property tax. Plank 65 of the Texas GOP platform in 2020 says that when conditions occur, Texans have a right to assert Article 1, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution and take a vote on our right of self-determination, whether or not we should become an independent sovereign republic again. Daniel Miller gets sworn in. You will get a vote on whether or not we shall become an independent sovereign republic of Texas once again. His website is texansformiller.com. We're on Dan Patrick's heel. He's below 50%. It's time for a change at the top. Someone who actually represents the platform and you, who will take your orders as per the platform. I am imploring you, go to the website, vet him, donate to his campaign, but most importantly, please vote for Daniel Miller as your next Lieutenant Governor of Texas. Thank you so much.
Step. And it's not on? Okay, can you hear me now? Oh, it is. It's alive. Some of the statewide people didn't realize I was saying, only the ones that don't have big opponents statewide. So I let him go longer because of that. And you're representing Kyle Scott? Okay. And he spoke last week. We'll let you go ahead and speak for him as a surrogate. Right. But then we're going to take a little break, and I'll introduce the other guest here. Thank you.
So I'm here tonight representing my father, Kyle Scott. He's running for Harris County Treasurer. He is a patriot, Republican, family man, and most importantly, a man of God. So please vote Kyle Scott for Harris County Treasurer. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Could I have a pen? Okay, just a pen. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so this one works. Okay. So right now I'd like to introduce all of our guests and elected officials. So I'm going to go down this, and when I call your name, if you would stand up and just introduce yourself and say briefly who you are, and we're really happy to have all of you. But this is, I don't know if it says Lake or Luke Van Norman. I think it's Luke. And that is the son of Ray Van Norman. Am I right? No? Oh, just stand up and introduce yourself as a guest. We're glad to have you.
Okay, will all the people who are candidates for the governor's race or surrogates please come up to the front? And you will each have a couple of minutes, and we have a wonderful timer here who will cut you off. They will have 3 minutes.
Okay, when you get to 2 minutes, you're going to see 2. 1 minute, I do this.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Connor Ernest. I'm here on behalf of Don Huffines. Don is a fifth-generation Texan, a former state senator, a father to 4, a grandfather to 5, and is going to make sure that you get your legislative priorities passed. As a state senator, Don had an A+ from all scorecards and was the first to author constitutional carry and never took a dime while doing it. As your governor, Don is going to secure the border through a constitutional means. He's never going to ask permission from the federal government. Secondly, he is going to secure our elections once and for all. Currently, we have leadership in Austin that thinks it's a good idea to lower the voter fraud penalty from a felony to a misdemeanor. Don is not going to let that happen. He's going to make sure that election integrity, as stated in the Republican Party platform, is passed into law. Lastly, Don has been a big part of the Republican Party for the last 30 years here in the state of Texas, and is going to make sure, as delegates, as activists, one of your biggest things is elimination of the property tax. Don was the first in this race to come out with a full plan and say, I'm going to eliminate the property tax. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So as far as that goes, vote for Don Huffines. He is going to abolish abortion with no exceptions. He has me here tonight, and I mean, it's an honor to be here. And I mean, you want somebody who's going to be truthful, honest, consistent, which is what Don has been in his time in running for the governor's office, and wants to empower the future of Texas, then vote for Don. So, yes, we do. Yeah. You have a question? Yeah, so that's a great question. So number one, the spending, right? The budget continues to grow, and it's not acclimate to the amount of population. Spending is growing more than the state of Texas is, so it doesn't make sense as far as that goes. Don's going to make sure that spending grows at a 2% increase every single session, and he's going to slash the budget in half, right? Currently in Austin, they're giving out millions, billions of dollars even to big tech, to green energy, things that don't represent our values. That is going to end under a Huffines administration. We're going to make sure that we cut all that out, right? That's going to empower us to buy back local property taxes through state revenue, through things like oil and gas, many other places of revenue that can help us buy back local property taxes and end property taxes once and for all. Because, like another gentleman said, property taxes are unconstitutional, and you should be able to own your own home. It's immoral what the government's done, and I will tell you that if you think you own your property, then just stop paying property taxes, because I mean you don't. So, but any other questions? Yes, sir, or yes, ma'am. Yeah, so it's really as easy as saying we have the 10th Amendment, which gives all the other rights to the states, and we're not going to bow down to the federal government and continue to send letters asking for their permission to do what we need to do with our own border. So it also comes from Article 4, Section 4, Article 1, Section 10, which talks about the invasion and the fact that we have the power as a state to deflect an invasion. So.
Hi guys, I'm here representing Lieutenant Colonel West. As you know, this lovely gentleman here, we're challenging the current incumbent. I know there's a lot of avid supporters in here today, because on the calendar year of 2021, there was about 2 million people that came into the state illegally, just the state of Texas. Mr. Abbott has been governor for 8 years. It's silly to think that there wasn't anything that could have been done to prevent that. Mr. Colonel West here, just as Huff finds, essentially wants to make the border the priority. Mr. West also believes in school choice. He was born and raised, and he was born when Atlanta was a segregated city. He was born in an all-black hospital, so he obviously feels like the need to promote school choice is one of his key things in the race, because sometimes the inner city kids don't get the same opportunities as other kids. And in relating it to energy independence, obviously everyone remembers what happened last year with the with the winter blackout, or whatever you want to call it. So the top three priorities will essentially be immigration, education, and energy independence for Mr. West. Thank you for your time. Questions? No?
Okay, wow, this is exciting. Will all the candidates and surrogates for lieutenant governor please come up? Thank you. Okay.
What is it? 3 minutes. Okay. You'll get a 2 minute and a 1 minute and
Thank you all for coming out tonight. My name is Zach Vance. We have a great looking group of Republicans tonight. I really appreciate you coming out tonight. I am the only moderate Republican coming out here and talking to you guys. So what is this rhino doing here? We need to focus on getting Texas's problems better. Things in Texas are bad, and they're bad because of two things, two people, as a matter of fact. Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick. If you vote for Dan Patrick this next election, you are literally sending Texas into the dirt. We have to get Texas moving forward, and the only way to get that happening is to vote for a Texan who cares about Texas more than he does his actual self. Dan Patrick only cares about himself and controlling you, not getting Texas to a better place. I am a Texan that cares about all Texans. I am a moderate Republican, and I'm running because I care about every single Texan out there. I don't care about if you're a man and whoever you want to stick your pecker in. I love all Texans. I'm a lieutenant. I will be a lieutenant governor that cares about all Texans, not just the ones that want to take Texas into the dirt. We have to focus on getting Texas to a better place. The only way to do that is to take Texas from a Texas that cares about only holding Texas values hostage by a few majority to actually working on our problems. We have so many problems that Texas is not working on because Dan Patrick and Greg Abbott only care about keeping that few majority happy. We have to work on all problems that make Texas that all Texans care about. That problem is solving property taxes. We have to lower property taxes. We cannot do away with property taxes. We can lower it. We have to get Texans insured. That's one of the things that's going to lower our property taxes. I'm the only Texan that knows how to solve the crisis at the border. And the only way to solve the crisis at the border is by policy issues, not by building a wall. Otherwise, a wall is going to be good. But we have to change the way we look at certain things that are going to change the way Texas handle something that's going to affect a huge thing in Mexico. We have to break the backs of the cartels. And the only way to do that is by ending the war on drugs in Texas. Otherwise, we're just going to keep handing money away to the drug cartels in Mexico. We have to change the way we look at things. And the only way to do that is by ending the war on drugs in Texas. I promise you that. That is going to solve our our problem at the border. Just a reminder, I care about Texans. I love Texans. I love people, and things have to change. And the only way that things are going to change is by changing our leadership. Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick have to go. And if you vote for them, you're just continuing our problems.
Folks, I'm sorry. I didn't understand the format. I spoke earlier. I addressed you. You heard the pitch. But if you have any questions, I'll be happy to field them now. One gentleman had a question back there earlier, and I spoke with him. If you have some questions for the Miller campaign, I'm more than happy to answer them for you now.
You were really that good.
Yeah, I guess I was. I expect a landslide from this room. That's what I expect. All right, thank you all so much. Yes, ma'am. Well, I think when you create the Texas Nationalist Movement, which has over 400,000 supporters, it's actually the third largest political organization in the state behind the two major political parties. And what he's been able to do on a ton of legislation, getting the gold back into Texas, protecting the cenotaph, this whole reimagine the Alamo thing. He's been a big warrior against that and protecting our history. He's written 2 books. Tex-It is a 4-time bestseller. I've got to plug it because I'm in it. But it's a great book. He's been a tech consultant since the mid-1990s. He's one of the most brilliant men I've ever met in my life. And his organization, we start out with about 400,000 votes to the good because of what he's done with that organization. And all of them are Texas first, very passionate. We believe that we do have the solutions for the border crisis. We do believe we have solutions when it comes to our education. We think it's an absolute shame that when a child in the state of Texas, their first day of school on the desk, the first question is asked is, which pronoun do you prefer? And this is all because it's coming from, Washington, Delaware City. So the idea of relying on our rights as expressed in the Texas Constitution is going to be extremely key for us to be able to throw the federal government and its mandates off of our backs. Any other questions? Yes, sir? Well, absolutely. First of all, choice. School choice, absolutely. And the education industrial complex has to be reeled in. We really think that the problems when it comes to outcomes in education began in the Carter administration and the creation of the unconstitutional Department of Education. So all the problems that you have seen really began, you saw the downward spiral of education when Carter was pinched by the teachers' unions, the labor unions, to start the Department of Education. It is completely unconstitutional. You cannot find the word education in the U.S. Constitution at all. And we've had Republican candidates and presidents promise us that they were going to eliminate the Department of Education, and each and every one of them, and I say each and every one of them, have expanded the Department of Education. We've got to bring more teeth back into the State Board of Education to control our curriculum. We've got to fight back against digital learning. Our children are being monetized. There's no more textbooks. And what we're finding is that companies like Microsoft, like Bill Gates, like Jeb Bush, they are actually accumulating, harvesting every keystroke that our children are making on those laptops and on those tablets. They're monetizing our children. And a couple of sessions ago, you remember, I think it was SB 9 and SB 10, which essentially made every campus, every government school campus in the state, a psych ward, to where the teachers now have the power to be able to refer a child to psychiatric help. And if parents want to exercise their role and veto that, they're subject to CPS investigation. That is the big education industrial complex here in Texas. It needs to be put in check. Our biggest portion of the budget is education. And what we've come to find out is that you don't get better outcomes by spending more money in the classroom. You don't. Okay? So, on the education side, you got to stop the diversions. 20% of our gas tax goes to education. When we need infrastructure, when we need roads, we need bridges. What's happening in Austin is that the priorities are all jacked up and wrong. We need proper allocation of our funds, proper appropriation, and we cannot let the teachers. When Greg Abbott proposes $100,000 a year for teachers, I mean, come on, now they're a valuable source to us in our community. Teachers are about 100 grand, really? I don't think so. You have a follow-up. For education commissioner? No, he doesn't. Now, I will say I have mentioned to him a couple of gentlemen that I like. One of them is a local gentleman who is an education activist. His name is Gary Monroe. Just won a lawsuit against HISD. Yeah, he is an education advocate. He's been so for the last 15 years. We really haven't had a really good education administrator since, I guess, Michael Williams. But Marath is awful and needs to go. Okay, so that is not something that Mr. Miller would have the authority to appoint. That is a gubernatorial appointment. But if I was to advocate for someone, I would support Gary Monroe. Yes, ma'am. No, not really. You really can't outlaw the union. No, you can blunt their power, which I'm advocating, what Daniel Miller is advocating for. You can blunt their power. You have a former teacher here and running for. Well, the money situation. First and foremost, the money situation. Now, they do have some issues when it comes to their pension, the funding of their pension, but and that's something that needs to be addressed. But as far as the power in the classroom, in juxtaposition to parental rights, it has to be addressed more aggressively. All the things that we saw in Loudoun County, they're happening in Pflugerville, they're happening in Fort Worth, they're happening right here in Houston, they're happening in Katy, they're happening in Sugar Land. Okay, so you've got to you got to attack. You got to give more power to the parents. And you also need to allow homeschooling to flourish a whole lot more. And that can only come from a very strong economy, which allows parents in order to be able to homeschool their children. My wife and I, we pulled our daughter out of government school because we did not want her in that environment anymore. She wasn't being taught. It's no longer reading, writing, arithmetic, proper history, and science. It's attitude, values, beliefs, and behaviors. Attitudes, values, beliefs, and behaviors. So as we grew up, as we matriculated, the values that we were taught in the classroom, first and foremost academically, and a unified culture, that's what has to be brought back. We shouldn't be afraid to go back to something if we know that the current doesn't work. Go back to what does. That's called wisdom.
Thank you. We're still on Lieutenant Governor, and I think Alexi Swirsky had a little message from Dan Patrick. Where's Alexi?
Alexi.
Okay, we'll get her in a minute. Here she comes. In the meantime, I'm going to be representing Valerie Swanson tonight, as she was unable to be with us. But I think everybody here has heard about her victory over the guys in the girls' sports, and she did a phenomenal job on that. And she's done so many other things, and you are probably getting some of her flyers. So if you're in her district, please vote for her. And Alexi has a message from Dan Patrick.
Dan Patrick couldn't be here tonight, so he asked us to read a message he sent. He's in Amarillo, so he sends his regrets. His priorities as Lieutenant Governor were the Voter Integrity Bill, the Heartbeat Bill, the ERCOT reform, that's to do with the energy, the Women's Sports Bill, and property tax reform. We had a great 87th legislative session on these very issues. He pledges to continue the fight for Texas legislative priorities, and God bless Texas. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more here for a lieutenant governor position? Okay, Gail, while we're waiting for the next one for Sharon to introduce it, I think you have someone you want to say something about.
I'm Gail Stanart. My husband is Stan Stanart. You all know him as the most incredible, most proficient, most man of integrity on running elections. He was the county clerk for 8 years. If you are new tonight, I want you to know that he is running again at the behest of everyone that has had anything to do with Harris County elections. Let me tell you how important this is. The most important to me position on the ballot is county judge. Whoa, you probably weren't expecting that. Because if we get the county judge back and we get Stan Stanart, and I'm just assuming that one, then we're going to have a majority on the court, the commissioner's court. And when that happens, these men are going to make the decision to put elections back under a man of integrity and back under the county clerk's office, and you will have confidence in your elections once again.
Thank you. Okay, the candidates and surrogates for the Attorney General. Okay, moving right along. Comptroller of Accounts. Are there any candidates or surrogates here for that? For those? Yes. Is he here? All right, Kathy.
Well, Mark couldn't be here tonight, and he asked if I would step up and say a thing or two about him, and I talk about him all the time. And I found him to be a most fascinating guy. I saw him come and speak to this organization, and he talked about something that was so incredibly complex that I think most people just kind of glazed over. But he's the kind of guy that says, something doesn't look right. Something doesn't add up. And so he made it his project on his dime and his time to, for years, go and try and explain what is going on with Chapter 313. Chapter 313 costs us, taxpayers, $1 billion a year. And the people who participate in this have the opportunity to continue to do that for a 10-year period. Well, they were very successful in this past year, and it's not something that we are looking at from just one lens. It's across the board. We had the Chronicle speak out against this. We had Dick Levine speak out as a Democrat, and we had Mark Gullaby out there working night and day across the state, club to club, explaining it. It's so complex that I finally sat down with him with a camera and interviewed him. He goes into great detail, but it is very, very clear the way this is working. It is abuse to the taxpayers, and he says it's a shamble the way that our property is being assessed. So if there is an opportunity to take control of the way this could be manipulated going forward, morph into something else that achieves the same outcome for a select number of people, then you have to have the comptroller that is the one who, like Clark Kent, is wearing an S under that shirt. And I'm going to tell you that I've never done this before. I have never spoken on behalf of a candidate, but I'm going to tell you this. When you go in a memorable phrase, when you go to vote, mark the ballot. Don't be gullible. Vote for Mark Gullaby. I do have a few of his little flyers.
Thank you very much. Okay, candidates and surrogates for Commissioner of the General Land Office.
You're up.
Well, thank you. I am here representing Dr. John Spires, and I just found out an hour or so ago that I was going to be doing this. So they did send me some talking points to talk a little bit about what they've been doing, and I'm grateful to be here. On a personal note, I would like to say that I have known Dr. John Spires and his wife Dana for a number of years now, and a lot of you probably know them. They were on the engagement committee for the Harris County Republican Party and made it their duty to go throughout this county to try to engage new Republicans into the party, and worked very hard doing that. And then again, when we had the transition from Paul Simpson to the next chair, there was a lull in our party organization, and John and Dana took it upon themselves to save what little bit of the party structure we had left and help revive it to bring the party back. And I'm sure a lot of you went to the Lincoln Day dinner last year that Cindy and Dana brought together, and it was a very successful event. So I tell you that to tell you that they are hardworking people, and Dr. John Spires is very excited about running for this office. He has a professional skill set to do the job. He's not only a general surgeon, but he's also a heart surgeon, and he took care of thousands of veteran patients. A huge part of what the GLO has jurisdiction over is caring for our veterans and their veteran home care and fixing problems for them. He's worked on many veterans' health and mental health issues with veterans groups for years, since he's been out of the service himself. He's the only one running for the General Land Office that is a veteran. He's a licensed attorney who deals with federal overreach every day for clients against large, small government agencies, both state and federal. He's been endorsed by the border county sheriffs and the mayor. And he's the only one who has been to the border multiple times to meet with the locals and the law enforcement. He has a plan to shut down the border and implement a multi-dimensional border control wall and system. His list of law enforcement and grassroots organizations are growing daily. He can cross the divide between many groups as he is a man of his word, and he keeps it. No question. He has the backing of many of the Texas Federation of Republican Women, precinct chairs, and the SREC. He would like for me to extend to you his cell phone number. If you have questions, he's willing to give you a call and answer your questions or set up a time to visit with you. But I appreciate the time you gave me tonight to speak on his behalf.
Oh, yeah, that would be great. All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Don Minton, and I am running to be your next Texas Land Commissioner. I'm going to quickly tell you a little bit about myself, and then I want to talk about this office that is so very important to everyone in this room, and indeed everyone in the state of Texas. So again, my name is Don Minton. I grew up on the Sabine River in Orange County, and I'm very delighted to see my neighbor, Linda Llewellyn, from when I was 12 years old, right? 42 years ago, I was watching her dog. She can vouch for it. She can also tell you some bad stories, but hopefully there's no time for that. I managed to escape Orange County, Texas, and went to West Point. I graduated in the top 10% of my class. After graduating from West Point, I went on to serve as a cavalry officer in the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment in El Paso, Texas. I got a nice parting gift from the Army. I got a Southwest Asia Service ribbon medal, and I got this little card that says, "You're a disabled veteran, congratulations." Now, before I talk too much more about myself, I want to tell you just real quickly. I was on a plane this morning flying, and I tried to show this as my ID to get on the plane, and you know what the federal government said? "I'm sorry, sir, that ID's not good enough." We'll come back to that about how we treat our veterans. I mean, I'm not trying to be a whiner, but we don't do enough. So I get out of the Army. I go to law school at the University of Texas. I served as a lawyer for a while. And I'm on the border, by the way. I liked El Paso. I'm on the border. Rick Perry appoints me to be a judge of a court, not just any court. It's the felony drug court that handles all the cartel cases that come across the border. So when people say no one else has been to the border, well, I kind of say, well, yeah, I was on the border. I had cartel members stand in front of me, and I would sentence them to prison. And that takes a little gumption, and then I would walk off the bench, and I walk to my car, and I drive home. No protection. All right, so you have to be willing to do the hard things. After I served as a judge, I started migrating from the practice of law, and I became a financial principal licensed by FINRA, like a stockbroker. And then I became a principal that oversaw the stockbrokers. And I went to work at ADP, where I oversaw the retirement services division. I was in charge of about 60 stockbrokers and about $60 billion worth of assets. That matters, right? Because you need, as your Texas land commissioner, someone that's not their first rodeo to be in charge of a lot of stuff, right? So I haven't just sat in a tank and fired a round down range or sentenced someone to prison. I've also been in charge of about $60 billion worth of assets. This is not my first rodeo. After I left ADP about 4 years ago, I got tapped on the shoulder from an old friend who said, "Don, I have a unicorn. I have all the patents that are needed to extract lithium from brine, like oil field brine." He said, "But this company's a mess. There's bad people in it. I need you to come straighten it out." I did. I went to work with him, ran off some bad actors. We went from being an insolvent company in 2018 to worth more than $40 million. More than $40 million. Occidental Petroleum came knocking on our door. I negotiated a deal with Oxy, and we formed a joint venture called Terra Lithium, and that joint venture is now worth more than $100 million. That matters because I have been in a room and negotiated a deal worth more than $100 million with an oil and gas company. Your Texas land commissioner negotiates deal on behalf of you, citizens of Texas, to get money. The General Land Office is the only self-sustaining office in the state. We don't live off your taxpayer dollars. We make money for you. We make it for the general fund. We do it so that tuition can stay low. Now that is what I bring to this office for the land. For veterans, I care deeply about veterans. I wasn't a hero in those wars, but I served with a lot of heroes, and they deserve better. And right now, do you know that we supposedly offer a mortgage option to veterans, but it's not worth anything? Most veterans say, "No, I'll get a VA loan instead." That changes on day one with me. Texas veterans will say, "I want the Texas loan. It's first in class." Don Minton will deliver that. Thank you.
I asked her how many minutes. I heard 2, 3. I'm pretty certain it's 5 or 6, right? Howdy. Oh my goodness, that's bad. Yeah, it's a long. The food's kicking in. Howdy. Oh, that's much better. My name is Ben Armenta, and I'm working hard every day to earn your vote to be our next Texas Land Commissioner. And I really appreciate all of you being here today, because you could be anywhere else. You could be with your family or your friends, but you're not. You're here because you care deeply about this state, and so do I. I'm a former firefighter and a former teacher. In fact, I taught right up the road here in Spring many years ago. And then I became a businessman and an entrepreneur. And about a year ago, the mandates and the lockdowns were taking their toll on my companies and many of our customers. And I was complaining a lot. I mean, a lot. And one day my wife came up to me and she said, "Enough. What are you going to do about it?" And she was right. Look, if we are going to hold the line for our conservative values, and if we're going to stop being on defense and go on offense against Beto and Biden and all the Democrats, then we all need to do more. And this is a role I can play. Look, I have run companies of all shapes and sizes. I have grown multi-billion-dollar companies. I have sold my firms in oil and gas and in software, and I'm ready to do this. And I'm offering Texans a choice. It says in Proverbs chapter 29 that without vision, the people will perish. Well, I have a vision for Texas, and I have a vision for the land office. I have a vision that we're going to do right by our Texas veterans. And I'm not just going to talk the talk, I'm going to walk the walk. You see, the individual at the land office who is in charge of investing your tax dollars to benefit veterans came out and said that our state veteran cemeteries are a burden on Texas. Let me be clear. Veterans are never a burden. And I have promised that I will put half of my salary back into veteran services. And I'm going to ensure that we build additional cemeteries without federal strings attached to them, so that all our veterans, including reservists and National Guardsmen, have a place of honor and respect when they are laid to rest. And I have a vision that we are never, ever going to reimagine the Alamo. Ever. The current land commissioner signed a 50-year lease with the city of San Antonio for the city to manage the Alamo Plaza. Last I checked, the Alamo belongs to all of us. And your legislature said the land office should be managing the Alamo. Well, I'm going to get us out of that deal. And you know, you hear people up here talking about the elimination of property taxes. I have a plan. You see, the Constitution says that the 13 million acres of land that the land office manages, we can generate revenue off of that, up to $1 billion so far this year, for our public schools. Well, maintenance and operations of our public schools are 80% of our property taxes. Almost a third of our state lands are unleased, and we are leaving revenue on the table. It is time that a businessman steps into this office, runs it, makes it efficient, and takes care of the promises that the Republican Party says you and we deserve. I am offering Texans a choice. If you want to elect physicians, you've got them on the ballot. Lawyers, you got them. Career politicians, they're on there too, and career candidates. But if you want an outsider, if you want somebody who's ready to step up and say, I've learned all this in the private sector, and it's time to stop running this business in Austin and run it all over the state and make it efficient, then I'm your guy. I am all in for Texas, and my hope and my prayer is that in the upcoming primary, you're in for Ben. Ben for Land Commissioner. Thank y'all very much.
Hello, Republicans. It's so good to be up here. I have so many good friends. Norma, Jennifer, I enjoy coming up here, but I got lost on the way up here from Katy. They don't let me out of Katy much. I'm here to represent Don Buckingham. I am Kay Goolsby. I'm also Ted Cruz's National Grassroots Chairman. Ted and I started on the campaign trail, just the two of us. So he's my child sometimes. But Dawn, I met with her, and I always believe that the people that should represent us the right person for the right job. We have friends everywhere, and we want the perfect person we can get in that position. And she works hard. She was a firefighter, and she said, "Oh, and she decided to go back to law school. I mean, to med school." But you know what? She went to the University of Texas and got her degree with honors, and she worked 2 jobs, like all of us have done, and probably still not sleeping. What I like about her is she works hard. And she's a state senator. She's been one since 2017. But this is important. It really is because of hurricanes that are coming through, the disaster that comes through. We have to watch out for our land. And did you know the land office has 10.3 miles that they're in charge of the ocean? And that's oil and gas. And we have to take care, as they said before, the veterans. My dad and my father-in-law were both veterans. Very important that we do take care of them. And she just, I'm just astounded at the amount of time she spends working for, the Texas people. And she just, she's always smiling. I was on the bus with her during the victory, I think it was a couple years ago, and they were all talking about how bad I drive, but that's okay. But at Ted Cruz, and we were on that, and she was a great victory chair. She works hard. That's what we want, somebody to work hard for us and know that where they've come from. She went to medical school in Galveston, and she knows what's going on down there. She was been talking about that. And also, I didn't know this, but the Electoral College, she basically saved it. And because of her votes and her, putting it before the Senate. And we need to keep the Electoral College. It's very important after this last time, right? And we need to watch out for all. But please think about voting for Dawn Buckingham. I approve of her. I approve of this message. And I just think she's a wonderful, wonderful, hardworking woman. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Commissioner of Agriculture. Anybody else for the land commissioner that we've missed? No, I don't think so. So next is going to be the Commissioner of Agriculture and your surrogates. So come on up.
I'm not talking. Oh, okay. I thought you were a surrogate.
I
How you doing?
thought you wanted to dance.
Okay, we can do that well too. How's everyone doing this evening? Thank you so much. It's really glad to be back home. I was born and grew up in Harris County and cut a lot of my teeth as a precinct chair in Harris County. But tonight, real briefly, I want to talk to you about a very, very important issue in a very, very important department that touches all of us daily, from the time we wake up, maybe even while we're asleep, and definitely when we go back to sleep. I am state representative. Oh, that's what I was about to. Okay, my name is State Representative James White. I currently serve a House district in East Texas, 5 counties: Polk, Tyler, Jasper, Newton, Hardin counties. I'm not running again for the Texas legislature. I've served 12 years. So this time I've offered myself to run to be your next conservative commissioner of agriculture. And I'm running to do this for real simple reasons. One, I love Texas. And I love the Texans that make our state prosperous and free. And one group that I believe that does that are our farmers and ranchers. They deserve a commissioner. You deserve a commissioner that's a proven conservative, a commissioner that you can trust to secure this $115 billion industry. I'm a small beef cattle producer. I'm a veteran, served as an Army infantry officer for 7 years under Ronald Reagan, 3 of those years in the Berlin Brigade, during the fall of the Berlin Wall and demise of the Soviet Union. I returned to Texas and served 17 years as a school teacher, teaching government economics, coaching football, basketball, soccer. On the government economics, I'll tell you, at least on the government side, none of it works like in the legislature like it works in the textbooks. Just want to let you know. It's kind of interesting. Okay. But saying that, for 6 terms in the Texas legislature, I have served on the House Committee on Agriculture, which has direct oversight of the Texas Department of Agriculture. I've passed strong legislation to lower burdensome regulations on our small commercial meat processors and along with our East Texas loggers. This session, I served as chair of the Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee. In that committee, many bills come regarding your Second Amendment rights and defending and not defunding our police. This session, as committee chair of that committee, I got the constitutional carry bill passed. Many people have filed it. Many people have talked about authoring it. Many people have talked about it getting it passed. But I got it passed this session. Working with your governor and you lieutenant governor, I ensured that we tripled border security to $3 billion from $800 million. And I sat on every bill that tried to defund and devalue your police. So being a proven conservative is very important. Day one. Well, let's back up before day one. Right now, and you'll understand why I'm saying this. Right now, I will make a commitment that if anybody in the Texas Department of Agriculture, where I'm commissioner, tells someone that they must give a campaign contribution to me in order to see me, they will be fired and probably referred to the Texas Rangers. Two terms max, with no intention to believe that I'm automatically guaranteed the second one to begin with. I will roll back every excessive fee that has been increased by the current commissioner when he doubled and tripled fees on farmers and ranchers when the legislature did not give him his 50% increase in his budget back in 2015. We will review every burdensome regulation, and I will guarantee you this also. No one associated with me will believe that they have an environment in the Texas Department of Agriculture where they believe that they can meet people in Austin in the back alleys behind restaurants and take cash in envelopes to sell access to the Department of Agriculture. The current commissioner's 3-decade-long campaign consultant is under indictment right now today for allegedly selling access into the Texas Department of Agriculture, and along with another associate of the commissioner. JamesWhiteForTexas.com, JamesWhiteForTexas.com for your next conservative commissioner of agriculture. God bless you. We will stand by for questions for a bit. Hey, thank you. This is a great club. We're glad to be here again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was terrific. Okay. Railroad Commissioner, are there candidates and surrogates for the Texas Railroad Commissioner? Come on up.
Okay. Oh, this one's working well. Hi, my name is Sarah Stogner. I am a lawyer. I'm an oil and gas lawyer. I am not Texan by birth, but I am Texan by choice. And so thank y'all for having me tonight. I have represented operators, service companies, midstream companies in understanding and allocating risk, right? Like I am a nitty gritty, nuanced, nerdy insurance coverage contracts lawyer. And I moved out onto a West Texas cattle ranch last summer. And a week after living there, a well that had been plugged by Chevron came unplugged and it started flowing 10-pound brine, which for those of you, if you're in the oil and gas industry, when we try to kill a well, we weight up mud to 10 pounds. So it's water that cannot physically hold any more salt. It's that heavy. And it was flowing to surface. And I said, that's bad. That's really bad. And called, and I thought Chevron would step up to the plate and do the right thing. And I thought our regulators would protect the landowner. And I was wrong on both fronts. And a week after that, the Railroad Commission, who is charged with protecting all Texans, not just their political donors, not just the oil and gas companies, all Texans, and they have the exclusive jurisdiction to control the groundwater protection that is put into place by oil and gas operations. And they lawyered up against the landowner a week into the incident. So you have a landowner who is not allowed to talk to their regulator that's charged with protecting them. They're having closed-door meetings. And it's as bad as I could have ever imagined. And I moved from Louisiana, where we are notoriously politically corrupt. And I am a lifelong Republican. I do not have career political aspirations. I promise to get in there to fix this. And I'm really here, anybody but Wayne. Wayne's a nice guy, but he has no oil and gas experience. And he has proven that he does not have the gumption to stand up and do what's right. So my name is Sarah Stogner. I am running for Texas Railroad Commissioner. My website is sarah4rrc.com. I will give you my cell phone number. It is 432-664-0641. If you want to talk to me, call me, text me. You can find me on social media. I want to hear from you. I promise I will bring transparency. I can't change anything with one of 3 people, but I will always answer my phone. I will make sure that no one is given special treatment. I am not accepting campaign contributions. I am self-funded because I am taking a stand against the crony capitalism that is taking over and is making it a disgrace for Republicans. So thank you so much. Okay, yep, my phone number is 432-664-0641. And I have oil and gas unicorn stickers on the back table. If anybody needs one for their hard hat or their cooler or their man fridge or wherever you put your assorted stickers, please grab one. So thank you all.
Okay, anybody, any candidates here for county judge or surrogates? Oh, good. Come on up.
Well, we've been to about 40 or 50 of these things, the 9 candidates for Harris County a judge. And on some of them, they wait to serve the meal till after everyone talks. I am so happy they fed everybody tonight before we got to the speakers. I'm Vidal Martinez. I've been in Houston since 1975, so I've been here 47 years. 44 years of that practicing law here. I got here the year after John Lindsay was elected. 1974, and in 44 years, we've had 3 county judges, Lindsay, Eccles, and Emmett, and there's a reason why. Our county is a big county. It's 1,774 square miles, 81 miles long. If we were a state, our population would be larger than Louisiana. We'd be number 22. Louisiana would be 23. Just Harris County, not the 6 other counties that touch us. And as far as our budget of about we have about $8 to $9 billion of all-in money that crosses Commissioner's Court. It's about a $5 or $6 billion budget. Then you have the metro money, the port money, you have the toll money, you have the Harris County health facilities. It's about $9 billion that comes across. your desk that you get to touch. And since 2018, when poof, we had the accidental county judge on first base, the smoke cleared, and there she was, a 27-year-old on first base running Harris County. Counties are set up in the 1836 Texas Constitution to do, there's 254 counties, and it was the first Texas Constitution when we were set up as a republic. We were not a state of the United States. And we set up 254 counties. They take care of three things, and three things only. One is the legal system. That includes the courts, the judges, the sheriff, the jail, the district attorney's office. The second item is public health. They're in charge of public health. The third is transportation and infrastructure, moving farm to market goods. And so you have that, that's how we start out. And those are the only three things that counties are in charge of. On the legal side, I've been a lawyer here for 44 years. I started out as a federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office here. I know about the crime statistics. I know what has to be done. Later, I served as state bar chairman for about a year. It's a one-year term. It was the most miserable year of my life because I was the head of 90,000 lawyers, all with an opinion on how to run the world. I'm serious. I couldn't wait to hand that gavel back. On the health side, I have been on the board of Methodist Hospital for 30 years. There's 18 board members. I guess I'm third in seniority now. And we're the largest, the number one hospital in the state of Texas, ranked number 16 in the country out of over 6,000. And it's a bigger budget than the counties every year. It's about a $9 to $10 billion budget. So I know the topic. I've been there for 30 years. I've been making plans, contingency plans. We've been through emergencies. We've been through floods. We've been through hurricanes at the hospital. On the transportation side, I served as your port commissioner for many years. I was appointed by the city, Port of Houston commissioner. And I served on the Greater Houston Partnership for over a dozen years, which is our Chamber of Commerce for the whole area. And I actually chaired the Transportation Committee of the Greater Houston Partnership for 2 years. 20 years ago, when I was the chair of that Transportation Committee, we were fighting then a 10-year-old fight for the $8 billion I-45 expansion. You chase this money at the state from TxDOT, and you chase it in decades-long process. And that was 20 years ago. We were fighting, and it was already a 10-year-old. You know, Bob Lanier, if you all remember him, he was chairman in the 80s of the Texas Highway Commission. And that's when it started. This is before Lena Hidalgo was even born, okay? And I've had the pleasure of, I mean, I've been on all these boards. I've had the experience of managing about $200 billion of management decisions or capital spending or programs that have to be managed. And so I think I've got the experience in all three buckets to drive the county car. What's this race about? Crime, corruption, and competence, or incompetence, I should say. Crime. They own, these Democrats, in the first opportunity they had to settle a case where they could expand bail bond from the first they said misdemeanor, that it spread into the felony area. They own this crime wave that has occurred since January of 2019. In the first month that they had the opportunity to sign a settlement that extended far beyond even what the court was requiring, they did it. And how do we compare that? Dallas had the same lawsuit. Dallas, Democrat controlled there, did not settle the lawsuit. And now the Houston case, 3 years later, just last month, got invalidated. The basis of the Houston settlement got invalidated by the Fifth Circuit, yet we spent over $100 million of your taxpayer money in the last 3 years on a settlement that had no legal basis. That's the kind of thing that's happening. What do you do on crime also? So you don't give the DA who has over 100,000 backlog, and you don't give her the 60 DAs that she wants, and you think that things are going to get better at that point. Then Judge Emmett and the previous court before 2018 promised the sheriffs a two-step raise. They did the first half of the raise before 2018. They haven't done it yet in the last 3 years. And what happened? There's about 5,000 people in the sheriff's department. A third of them have quit. A third of them are eligible for retire and are gonna quit, and they can't hire people now to get to even staff the basic functions of law enforcement. And you see what happened. Poor deputy sheriff, female that got raped inside the jail for 13 minutes, and by the way, no one came to her rescue. She still had to crawl out and go find help after that. That's untenable. There's something called rollover funds. In each of the 4 precincts, the constables that are in that precinct, they raise their own money, and they get money that's awarded to them, and they know where the hot spots are to apply that money for crime prevention, for doing all sorts of things. The constables are the people that are right there outside that door and know the district better than anybody. And what did this new county court do? They got a supreme administrator. We call him the czar. His name is David Berry. And they consolidated 22 departments that were before in each one of the 4 precinct commissioners. And now they took the rollover money away from the constables, over $22 million. So they just took it away just by fiat. Boom, one day it's gone, and it's zero now. You have no ability to manage it. On crime. Now let's move over to the health area. There used to be the most dangerous place in the world used to be between a television camera and Sheila Jackson Lee. No longer. It is now Lena Hidalgo, and she loves to see herself on TV, and she's taken us to 4 red alerts now without even talking to the medical community. Builds a tent hospital in NRG for tens of millions of dollars and doesn't see a single patient. Okay, not one. Let's go to the transportation side. You're being handed a check. The state of Texas is giving you $8.5 billion to start the I-45 expansion that we've spent 40 years chasing. And at the 11th hour and 59th minute, this commissioner's court, Lena Hidalgo, sues the state because they said the social prejudice index weren't correct when they were being measured before she was born. Okay, this is just nonsense. This is not what county judges do. You don't also set up a legal defense fund for the amnesty illegals that are here in Harris County, and they've set up a legal defense fund out of your taxpayer dollars. Okay, there's over 80,000 of them sitting right here. You don't spend tens of millions of dollars for early childhood education. Harris County doesn't operate a single classroom. We don't have a light to turn on, okay? Not a single classroom. That's the 20 school districts that are inside of Harris County. Why are we spending that kind of money? Because they want to teach our little children critical race theory. They're hiring these campaign consultants and these equity consultants to sit there and talk to your grandchildren and to tell them that we're wrong, our country grew up wrong. And you know, I've been around this place 14 generations, a couple of 100 years. It was Spain, then Mexico, and then Texas. That's crazy. You can't do that. And that's what happens when this social woke program comes into place. We had a 27-year-old graduate from Stanford. She'd barely been a citizen since 2013 when she came in. She'd lived in Houston and Harris County all of 3 years, never had a job. Okay? She was a volunteer translator at Texas Children's. And what occurred then with Rodney Ellis sitting right there, and they start putting in their social woke agenda. And if you look, there's articles up on our website, Vidal Martinez, votevidalmartinez.com. We got an article that'll fascinate all of you on her background, the George Soros camp she went to, the same consultant as AOC from New York. You go around the country, and she's touted as the AOC of Texas. Okay, so crime, corruption, competence. We're through with that. Let me tell you what's going to happen on day one. And I've already talked to Jack Cagle and Tom Ramsey about this. It's a team of CRM, Cagle, Ramsey, Martinez, and Stannert, Gail, because Stan's going to be right there with us too. First thing that's going to happen, we're going to cancel this bail bond reform. It's just going to get canceled. It's a settlement. We're gonna defund the settlement, and then we're just gonna cancel it. All right, this is gonna happen. By the way, all of you are gonna be invited to my swearing in on January 2nd. Okay, everyone here, and then on January 3rd at 10 o'clock, I have the pen in my hand. The county judge sets the agenda. Number one, kill bail reform. We're gonna do that. This is gonna be. We've decided. Cagle and Ramsey and I have decided we're gonna take a late lunch because we're gonna do all of these things by 1 o'clock. Okay. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to eliminate the elections administrator. We're not just firing her. We're going to eliminate the position and return it to Stan Stannard, where the Texas Constitution says it belongs. Third thing, remember I told you about the czar? Well, I'm going to fire him. We're going to replace our own czar. And then he or she is going to have 100 days to fire the 400 people that they've just hired in the last 3 years. And then we're going to eliminate the position and return all that power to the commissioners at that point. Fourth thing we're going to do, the DA wants 60 to get rid of a backlog of 118,000 cases that are back there in this crime wave. Fine. We'll put you on a performance plan. We're going to give you 15 for 90 days. Let's see what kind of percentage and performance you have, bringing down that percentage. Then we'll consider another 15, and we'll keep doing it in increments on a performance plan at that point. Constables, they get their money back, okay? I-45, that's a lawsuit that we can cancel with a 3-2 vote. Again, I'm doing this before 1 o'clock lunch, okay, on the first day. We're not having 14-hour meetings. We're not having witnesses up here for policy discussions. It's just, we're not going to do that. These are executive management decisions instead of social policy steering of left woke programs. Now, let me just, there's one factor here too, and you got to think about this when you're thinking about who to vote for in 20 days. Who can beat Lena? Now, there's 3 million Hispanics, Latinos from El Paso to Brownsville. There's 3.2 million in the Houston area. There's a larger Hispanic population right here in River City than there is along the entire Texas-Mexico border. We're not a blue county. Remember, we have 4.7 million people, 2.2 in the city. The other 2.5 are in a circle, in a donut around the city. That's how we had 44 years of Republican county judges. In 18, it was an aberration. We had this Bobby Kennedy kind of candidate in Beto running against Ted. We had it was the midterms during the Trump 4 years. We had straight ticket voting still, and we had the perfect storm hit. And again, poof, on first base, there's Lena when we wake up that day. That's not the case now when we have it. If she gets another 4 years of executive experience, have you seen what's happened to the Latino vote in the Valley? 2 of the big 4 counties flip Republican, and they're tired of, you know who's the worst person that's mad right now about illegal aliens over here? Latino mothers on the East End. Let me tell you something. And the Latinos are pro-life, they're pro-Second Amendment, they're pro-work, they're pro-low taxes, and everyone just figured out, hey, we're Republicans. But you have to have a face that basically says, come with me. And I can do that with this vote. And if we do not stop her on first base, remember that 5 of the 5 big counties in Texas, 4 of them are solidly blue right now, okay? Houston is actually sort of purple. Ed Emmett only lost by 19,000 votes. Ted lost by over 230,000. That is a very slim margin right there, and we could have kept a 3-2 majority. We're going to wake up the Republican ring, and now we have, at the top of the ticket, running against Abbott, we now have a flawed Beto, O'Rourke out there. He was a new kid. He was the Bobby Kennedy type in 2018. In 2020, he had to run for president. And then he got on camera around the country and said, hell yes, I'm coming for your guns. Doesn't play well in Texas. Second thing he said, I'm against, I know, 1 minute, I'll finish. No. Second thing he said is, I'm against the oil and gas industry. I hope to kill it. Well, I figured that if he there was one more thing that I think he could add to his repertoire. If he said he was against Friday night football, then all Texans would hate him. He's not going to win. He's a fool at the top of the ticket. He really is this time. It's just like I should have sent a case of champagne that Beto's out there actually doing it. And we're going to have Biden in the White House. And my wife hates for me to say this, but I'm going to repeat it to you. She said, you can't keep saying that, but I'm going to do it. I'm ordering my 4th box of candles from Amazon right now. And the reason being is because every single day I'm lighting a candle to the health of Joe Biden staying in the White House. Okay? I lived through the Jimmy Carter era, and so did most of you as I'm looking around here. You remember the misery index? You remember the national malaise? He got in front of a fireplace in a sweater in the White House and told us we're going to have to get used to being poor and inflation and interest rates at 30%. That's ridiculous. It took Ronald Reagan to get us out of that ditch. Well, that took 4 years to do for Carter. Biden's done it in about 10 months. And I just pray that Biden, Pelosi, and Schumer stay on the national news and fight each other all the rest of this year, because we're going to take this wind behind our back is going to be tremendous. But they're going to keep their little waif in place and this county judge. And around the country, all the money's coming in from Emily's List, Act Blue, George Soros's Democracy PAC. It's going to be an expensive race. So in 20 days, you have to decide out of the 9 of us who can beat Lena Hidalgo. And I'm telling you, only one person can. It's Vidal Martinez. And that's me. And I'm going to do it for you and us and our kids. Thank you. Oh, questions? Yes, ma'am.
Suffer through this mandate stuff. If you're conservative, you hate all this stuff. And I watch Methodist. I am far away from Methodist as I can get. I drive to Magnolia, and that hospital is right there by my house. I'm just so frustrated that people with integrity would stay on a board that is as horrendous as Methodist Hospital.
Do you have a question instead of a statement? I'm the number 3 out of 18 board members. I've been there for 30 years. We save 2 million people a year in 7 hospitals. And it is the number 1 hospital in Texas for the 10th year in a row. If it doesn't matter to you about the quality where you go, then just go down the block. No, let me finish, please. I listen to you. What the mistake is that everyone thinks that there was a choice, and there wasn't. These were federal mandates that came down from the Department of Health and Human Services and from Medicare, Medicaid. And when hospitals, every single hospital that you want your family at is over 50% Medicare and Medicaid. It never even came to the board for a decision. And now every single hospital, by the way, we have these 127 plaintiffs. Most of them are back working at Methodist because they found out 2 weeks later, it's the same thing at Memorial Hermann or St. Luke's or every other hospital that you want to have care at, where you want you. It is, and I don't like it, but I'm not in charge of Biden's White House that did this to us. You know, it didn't happen under Trump. It happened right after when Biden got into office, and by March, we were there. I mean, we were suffering that thing. And you have every single major hospital in America that suffered the same tyranny. I'm not for masks. I'm not for vaccines. I'm not for mandates at all. But it never even came with a choice for the board. And it's not, and there's so many other things that we do good in the community. I'm not going to change your mind, but I'm just telling you where I am in that experience. And at the same time, if you have, again, don't forget the income model. Every single hospital has over 50%, some 60% of their income comes from the federal government, from Medicare and Medicaid, taking care of a lot of sick people at reduced rates. You don't have a choice of going out there and being a hero and saying, oh, we're not going to take your money, without shutting down all of your hospitals with 28,000 employees there. Okay. And by the way, again, we didn't fire any employees. We kept the hospitals open, and most of the plaintiffs came back around and are back working at Methodist. I'm sorry about the experience. I don't control that experience. I don't control President Biden. I don't control Medicare, Medicaid. I don't control Department of Health and Human Services. If you have a solution, I'm going to give you my card, and you can sit there and chew my ear out anytime, because I'll listen any day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. 20 days. Oh.
Is there anybody else who is a candidate or a surrogate that has not been able to speak? Anyway, thank you. We're a very spirited bunch. And you know what? That's great. I thought it was a very helpful explanation. Very helpful. Okay, this is a family. We want you as part of our family. Please join with your membership, because you know what? We just embrace you, and we look forward to seeing you next month and every month. Thank you for coming. We have one more thing. Norma says one more thing. Oh.
Was precinct 2 not on the agenda?
Well, come on up.
I'm just
Come
sorry.
on up.
I know we've been here a long time. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Everybody gets 30 minutes, right? Not 3? No, good evening, everybody. I know we've been here a long time. My name is Jack Mormon. I am a Republican candidate for Harris County Commissioner for Precinct 2. That is about a half a galaxy away from where we are right now. It's East Harris County, so you probably don't live there, but you probably know somebody that does. I had the privilege of serving as the Precinct 2 representative on Commissioner's Court for 8 years, from 2011 through 2018. I got swept out in the Beto wave, but I'm running, campaigning hard to get my old seat back so we can bring some sanity and civility back to Commissioner's Court. I am a proud resident of Precinct 2, lifelong. I'm a practicing attorney. I have my own law firm that I run. I have some ideas that I'd like to give to Vidal. I'd like to bend his ear, because I am an attorney and I do know how to run the world according to Vidal. But I'm proud to raise my own family in the heart of Precinct 2, and I want that to be a place that they can be proud of, that they can be safe and secure as they grow up and grow old. To do that, public safety has to be number one, and so that's why I'm so proud to be able to say that I'm endorsed by every single major law enforcement agency and entity in Harris County. The Harris County Deputies Organization, Houston Police Officers Union, Pasadena Police Officers Union, the past 2 Republican sheriffs, Tommy Thomas, Ron Hickman, as well as the current Precinct 5 Constable, Ted Heap. I am the law enforcement candidate of choice, and that's because I have a track record of 8 years. You don't have to take my word for it. Go back and look at what we've done. Vidal mentioned a 2-step process for giving raises to our law enforcement officers. I'm glad to have led that charge for that first step. And that was to be only the first step in 2018. Unfortunately, things happened and we weren't able to capitalize and do that second step because the election changed the composition of the court. But with your help and your support, we will take back Precinct 2. That is the first step in taking back a majority control on Commissioner's Court. With your help, with your support, we can do exactly that. I'm Jack Mormon. I'm running for Harris County Commissioner in Precinct 2. That's East Harris County. I know a lot of you don't live there, but you know somebody that does. I've left some cards out up front. It has all my information, including my cell phone number. Feel free to use it. Give me a call, text, whenever you want. Go to my website, electjackmormon.com. I truly appreciate your support. With your help, we will take back Harris County and Harris County Commissioner's Court. Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Gail.
When we get 4 Republicans on the county commissioner's court, what's the difference between 3, a majority, and 4?
We need 3 at a minimum, but with 4, we can ensure that we set a tax rate, right? Yes. We can set the tax rate that we want, which means a lower tax rate. Right now, we're fortunate that we have at least 2 Republicans on Commissioner's Court. You know why? Because they can walk the vote and exercise that right. Because if you've got a majority of 4, then they can do whatever they want. That's why this election is critical. If we get 3, Vidal mentioned this, 100%, day 1, we're eliminating the elections administrator, returning that function back to our elected officials, back to your husband and the tax assessor collector. That's what we're doing. We're getting rid of the county administrator, 100%. That's the job of Commissioner's Court, not some unelected appointed bureaucrat, all right? If they need if they need a county administrator to do the job, that means they don't know how to do the job you elected them to do. But yes, Gail, thank you for that question. We absolutely must have a majority of 3. We really need 4. Yes, ma'am.
Can you redistrict that back in a more sane manner?
My fervent hope is that the redistricting lawsuits are still active when we regain control of Commissioner's Court. And if they are, and if we do, yes, that will be an absolute priority. The way the Democrats have gerrymandered the commissioner's precincts in this current iteration is unconscionable. Commissioner Ramsey's precinct goes from Cypress in the west to Baytown in the east. There is no way that's a coherent precinct. It's insane. Precinct 2 has historically, since the time of Jen Fontino, been East Harris County, from Huffman in the north to Seabrook in the south and all points in between. That's the precinct 2 that I represented. That's the precinct 2 that I know. That's the precinct 2 that we want back. We want to restore some sanity, not only to government, but to the redistricting process.
And I'm in Kegels, so I think we don't even get to vote before we're
That's right. That's right. I completely disagree. The Texas Supreme Court gets a lot of things right. I completely disagree with their ruling on the challenge to the redistricting process. They said, well, it's a little too late, and what would you have us do? And, you know, we really can't do anything at this point. They've disenfranchised millions of people in this process. And they didn't have to, they didn't need to. They did it because they wanted to, because it was more politically advantageous for them.
Thank you. And I apologize. We did not realize that you were waiting. We definitely wanted to hear from you.
No, I apologize for dragging this out even further, but thank you for your time and the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you all.
I will mention one thing, and then I'll get to you, but last month we had the county judges were our main part of our meeting, and they went on for a long time, and Vidal Martinez did not get to come then, so that's why we let him have equal time to last month with county judges. So thank you for your patience. And who has a question here? Jimmy Kim, you have a question? Judy, you have a question?
Oh, okay. Yeah. What does the tax assessor do versus the county clerk do as far as elections? Oh, the treasurer doesn't do anything for elections.
No, what's just the difference in between the two roles?
Between the county clerk and the treasurer?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, well, the county clerk does a lot of things. One of the most important things the county clerk used to do, and Gail can talk about this better than I, but one of the most important things the county clerk used to do was actually run our elections, and Stan did it very, very well. Now you see how elections are being conducted with an unappointed bureaucrat, with an unelected appointed bureaucrat. They just posted early voting locations today. And by the way, guys, early voting starts Monday. Go out and vote. Don't wait till March 1st. But the elections administrator posted early voting locations today for an election that starts Monday. I can tell you, Stan Stanner would have never waited that long to let everybody know where they can go vote. So that was one of the main things that Stan did and did extremely well. The treasurer writes the checks for Harris County. He oversees the bank account.
Okay, and that is Valentine's Day, and we have some little surprises for Valentine's. I've got 2 of these and a bottle of wine that was donated for our Christmas party that we didn't have bids on. So for Valentine's, I'm going to say who has the 2 birthdays nearest Valentine's Day. February the 7th. Okay, anyone closer to Valentine's Day? 23rd. Okay, the 2 closest. Okay, do I end up with Jennifer and one other person? I have 2 of these to give away, and then I have something else. Oh, this is for you. Okay, and we have this lovely bottle of wine. I think it's wine or champagne or something like that. Who has been married the longest? And I'm not going to count myself because I know I would beat you all. That's 63 years. But who's next? Who has been married the longest? Okay, let's say over 50 years. Okay. Over 55? Benita. How many years, Benita? Over 58, anyone? Amen. Okay, so Benita, you get to take a bottle of wine or champagne, whatever it is, home with you. To celebrate whenever your anniversary is. Thank you. And gosh, this has been so great. Thank you all for coming, and just hang out as long as you want to. Our owner, Ray, is just always so patient with us in having us here, and of course he is a strong Republican. So thank you for coming.